All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Lost Dogs Podcast. Yes, this is still a real podcast. It's been a minute. I understand that. I'm recording this in the wee morning hours of the 19th of May in the year of our Lord 2025. How have you been? I hope you guys have been doing well. It's a lot of things have happened since the last time I podcasted. Let me take a look to see if I can see what the last episode. What was the last episode that I did? Man, I know. I know it's been a minute. It's just crazy. I understand that most podcasts do a really good job about being more frequent with their thing, right? Not me. I podcast whenever I want. I do what I need to do, and it does what it needs to do. November 22nd is the last time I did an episode here. 2024. Yeah, it's been a while. So 5, 6, 7 months. All right. Well, we're gonna try and do that. And the thing is, like, what's funny is this. I've actually recorded a lot of episodes. I have not published them, though. And it's an experiment that I've been doing for a while where I basically podcast in the car, and I actually like it. The only problem is editing it, where there's a lot of... it's just practice. I need to practice editing my podcast from the car. And what's funny is that I've listened to these a bunch, and I don't mind the background noise in it. I think the lav mics that I'm using are good. They pick up the sound that I need, and I'm probably going to do a little episode somewhere along the line on that. I don't know. Two, I love the interaction I do in between certain things, but the problem is that a lot of times I end up kind of losing my train of thought. Here, when I do a podcast at my desk, I got my little notes. I'm going to hit my little topics of things that I want to talk about, and even if I do lose my train of thought, because I sometimes go on tangents, and I understand that, I have something to come back to, and not go, what the fuck was I talking about? Fuck it, whatever, right? Well, when I'm driving, I don't really have those types of notes to where I can refer to and go, all right, and they're just like this long moment of silence, and then I start to talk about something else, and then all of a sudden later on down the line, I remember what it is that I was talking about. So it might have to do, I might have to do a couple of things to where, like, if I go on a drive, I'll do my notes, and I'll have my podcast notes up and running, and hit my points, and then do that. But the driving podcast, I don't know what I would call them, would be something that I would have to organize a lot better. But up till now, they've just been spontaneous things where I just said, you know what, I'm gonna document my day. I'm gonna put a microphone on me. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to put the camera up on the dash. I did a couple episodes where I went to the store, the supermarket, and actually clipped the camera onto the shopping cart and did something like that. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually a very interesting idea, as long as they let me get away with it. And I'm stoked with that. As long as the supermarket doesn't have some sort of problem with me recording and shit like that, that's great. Because at the end of the day, the supermarkets are private. Once upon a time, this is really about, this is more like 10, 12 years ago. I was in LA. I was shopping at El Super. If you don't know, El Super is a supermarket that specializes in selling Mexican products and is geared towards Spanish speakers. Not just Mexicans, but mostly Mexicans. But overall Spanish speakers to go shop. A lot of the things are in Spanish. A lot of the pricings are in Spanish. Everyone that works there speaks Spanish. It's really a Mexican-oriented sort of supermarket. And one day, all I did was take out my camera and take a picture of something that I hadn't seen in a long time at any supermarket. and an employee saw me take a picture of it and came up to me and immediately said, "There's no pictures allowed in here." I'm like, "Really?" So yeah. So he didn't ask me. Actually, it's a girl. She didn't ask me to erase it, but she says, "Yeah, please put your phone away." Keep in mind, this was 12 years ago that they were doing this. I'm like, wow, that's very, very interesting. So I put my phone away, and I didn't fight about it because one, we weren't in the influencer sort of wheelhouse back in the day, and two, it wasn't something that I was going to post or anything. I just wanted to share something with my friends that, hey, look at this product. I don't even remember what the product was, but it's something that wasn't as readily available like at an American supermarket like Vons or something like that, or Kroger. But yeah, it was weird times. So if they ever ask me to stop recording and I get caught once, it's not like I'm ever going to try and do it again. I mean, I can go to another store and try it there, but I like my little supermarket down here, and I just don't want to get to a point where like all of a sudden I can't go in there and record. It's a nice, clean supermarket. It's not huge. It just got just about everything that I want on most occasions. If I have to go to the big supermarket, I honestly don't care if they kick me out, and I can go to the other supermarket and do the same thing. So it's just not like that big a deal. I don't care getting kicked out of the big ones, but the one it's not small per se, but it's cozy. I like it. So I don't want to risk getting kicked out of that just because I want to film something that's more content on it. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. I'm going to talk about boxing for 3 seconds. The Canelo fight was last week or week before, I don't remember. It was boring as hell, and I'm not looking forward to the Crawford-Canelo fight. There are better matchups, and I really don't care at this point who win, lose, or draw in this Crawford-Canelo fight, to be quite honest with you. It's a bullshit fight, and it's a bullshit promotion, and it's just I don't know what's going on here. My theory is that Crawford has no business being where he's doing that. Canelo has no business taking that fight, but of course the Sheik is offering too much money to be able to reject that, and I hope something else comes along to where Canelo comes to his senses and go, you know what, I'm going to make as much money or more or something that's going to be better in my legacy if I fight someone else come September. I really do hope that that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, from the rumors that are already coming around, the contracts have been signed, and it's going to happen. All right, that's all I have to say about that. That weekend was very boring. Of course, somebody got their ass handed to them that has been overhyped for a while. I've talked about that, but I'm not going to talk about boxing anymore. That's it for this one. That's how much of my personal airtime boxing deserves from the last weekend. And what sucks is, of course, I'm talking about mainstream boxing. I'm sure that there was a lot of great undercard fights, and I'm sure that there's a lot of other fights that I haven't kept up with that deserve more airtime and be talked about, all the up and coming boxers, but not today. I do want to talk about how I think that since a lot of things have happened, there's been like a change in regime, right? In the a shift in power the last 6-7 months, right? I don't want to talk about that, and I wanted to keep free of that, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to hit on podcasting and doing anything here. Not that anyone's expecting my political opinion on anything like that. There's 3 people listening to this podcast, which is absolutely fine with me. The problem is I didn't want my podcast to incorporate that at all. It's just bullshit. The way that everything is just happening right now, the atmosphere, the American atmosphere is very loose right now, to use a euphemism. I don't know what the fuck is going on and why it's doing this, but it's a combination of many things. And to be honest, here's my big take on that. Not one side takes all of the blame. Both sides take a lot of blame as to the condition of the American atmosphere as of today. It's bullshit parties, man. There is time for a change, and it's the third party. There's really this idea and this philosophy of voting for the lesser evil is one of the biggest bullshits fucking buy your vote ideas that has ever existed. Don't vote for anyone you don't want to have in office, and start at your local level. If you're going to talk about voting and making a difference, it starts off at your local level. And don't tell me your argument that your voting doesn't count or doesn't mean anything. That's as big as bullshit as anything else either. You have to vote at a local level. Make the change from your school superintendent to your judges to your local senators, your state senators to your representatives. That's what matters the most. The presidential candidacies, that's all got to take care of itself. But if you vote local the way that you want to, you're going to see a bigger outcome in what you need happen than if you just hang your hat on a fucking bullshit election. And that includes not voting for the lesser evil. That includes voting for third parties. It's time for this two-party fucking ideology to go away. We can't have that anymore because none of those sides represent anyone right now the way that I see it. And there's a lot of people crossing over that shouldn't be and that would historically belong to one party, to where now, because they don't identify, they are now switching over and giving powers to the wrong party. And you can look at that both ways. And there's just this skew view of American politics right now, where only the corporations are winning because they've bought your votes by telling you to vote for the lesser evil. That's just absolutely garbage mentality. Moving on from politics, that's all I got to say about that. So it occurred to me that I wanted to talk about more movies. I wanted to talk about movies and shows and programs. I have another podcast too that I go into that I talk about other things that I like, but I think specifically one of the things that I really want to go out and talk about is movies. I think if you've been following or playing along before in a few episodes in the past, I've talked about how I love B movies. I love movies that are low budget, that have been made despite the budget, not because of it, and have turned out, not as good, okay, and in some cases, phenomenal. You know, take movies like the best low budget movie that I can immediately think about right now is the movie The Warriors from the 70s. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. And it's a low budget movie that was well made, and that was edited well, and there was decent acting in it. And there's even a couple actors in there that have gone on to other things as well. And it's amazing. It's a great movie, especially if you watch it as a child. And then if you start to look at, if you really want to talk about low budget and being entertained as a child, look at the old Chinese kung fu movies, low budget movies that were really entertaining. Those were legit also, right? Well choreographed as far as what a kid would like to watch in kung fu movies, right? And you can throw Bruce Lee in the beginning, before Enter the Dragon, or the game of Death, which unfortunately he passed away while he was making that movie, that had bigger budgets, that had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in them. Enter the Dragon at that point was probably the biggest budget movie that Bruce Lee had ever been a part of. All the other movies that Bruce Lee made were, I would consider, low budget. They're not really blockbusters in the sense that they're spending hundreds of millions of it at the time. All you need to see most of the time is good guys, bad guys, Bruce Lee kicking ass, and that's that, right? So there's a lot to be said for low budget movies and movies that don't adhere to the normal Hollywood thing. And if you go on Amazon, there's a ton of them. There really is. It's really impressive. And I'm thinking, and I don't know for sure because I haven't verified this, I'm thinking that if you make a low budget movie, you can publish it on Amazon Prime. They'll let you put it on their catalog and have people view it, and it'd be up to you to promote it, I think. I don't know about the other channels, but there's just way too many low budget B movies being accepted that are a part of the Amazon Prime catalog. And you know what else is also being publishing is the YouTube movies. Also have a lot of free movies that are low budget, especially in the science fiction field. I was a week. I was just looking at these science fiction movies, and there are garbage actors. Some of them aren't bad, but the majority of them are not very good actors. The special effects are something that would have wowed somebody back in the 70s, but they're not bad to the point where the acting isn't that bad. The writing isn't very well, but there is a story there that there are parts of the story there that are present. It's just the way that they're put together. It's like having a jigsaw puzzle of a beautiful landscape, and all the components are there, but whoever's putting it together just fucks it up. And it's going to take a lot for somebody who gives a shit about these movies or these ideas to look at these jigsaw puzzle and be able to, at least in your brain, be able to fix it, quote unquote, and go, okay, this belongs there, that belongs there, and maybe this wasn't photographed the way that it was, but I see the intent, I see the idea, and you have to also imagine the acting being at a certain level. Now, if the movie is dubbed in any other language and you speak any other language, I guarantee you that in your native language, the dub actors do a better job of acting than the actors in the movie. And this is my theory of why a lot of Mexicans hold in high regard like movies like Steven Seagal movies. You can, even though Chuck Norris has got a couple of really good acting movies in it, they're not all very well acted most of the time. And this is why, especially early Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are approved and liked. And a couple of these other low-budget movies that are terrible acting in it, the reason they jump out so much in Mexico and in probably other Spanish-speaking countries, and I'm only speaking of Spanish speakers because I'm sure there's the dubbed actors in the other languages are way better, is because the actors that dubbed the language are better than the ones that are acting in the movie. They can emote better. They can give you their feeling. When Jamie Lee Curtis was accepting an award, she told a story about how Bill Murray told her that her acting in Spanish is phenomenal, and she gave thanks to, was it Sigourney Weaver? I think it was Sigourney Weaver, and she thanked her Spanish-speaking counterpart for making her movies feel better or translate better in that language. And now both Sigourney Weaver and Jamie Lee Curtis both do not need any real big help. They're decent actresses in their own right, correct? But other actors need a lot of help. And this is where movies like Steven Seagal movies really start to, like I was impressed when in the 80s when I went to Mexico, how well and how in high regard they thought about Steven Seagal in his movies. And it wasn't later on that I understood that it's because of the acting of the dubbed actors is very good. I don't know. I've seen a couple of movies so I watched anime that's dubbed, and the anime dubbed within the past 10 years is a lot better than the anime that was dubbed when I first started watching it in the 80s. That's a point. But the actors that dubbed regular movies, like Netflix will have like either a Japanese movie or a Korean movie or a show, and when you try to listen to it dubbed in English, those guys, I hate to say that, they're not up to par with the Spanish actors. Like I would rather, and I do, listen to the Korean or watch the Korean movies and listen to the Spanish speaking, the Latin American Spanish speakers, because you can either pick Latin America or you can speak or you can choose Spanish or Iberian, like Peninsula Spanish, from Spain. And there's a big difference in the language. It's pretty much like hearing an American dubbed and an English person dubbed the movie, right? That's actually, that would be exactly what it sounds like. And the language is about the same, but there are different words to where you can get lost in some of the jokes or some of the sayings. You could get lost in quote unquote translation, even though they're speaking the same language. Now, what happens is that the actors, the movies, the Japanese movies and the Korean movies I originally I do like to read the subtitles. I would rather hear them in the original voice. However, when I'm working and I have it in the background, I lose a lot of it, so I have to listen to it dubbed. And I prefer the Spanish dubbed, the Latin American Spanish dubbed actors than the American 10 times out of everything. So we got to give credit to the Latin American dub actors. I have a French movie in the background right now. It's subtitled in English, but when I was watching it, it's a low budget movie that it sounds better in Spanish, and that's actually what I have in the background. Now, that said, there are again a ton of movies that are there out there, and I got to talk to them. I got to talk to you about it, and I think I will have a segment in this little podcast later on. Hey guys, I just watched this thing on YouTube channel, and it's a B movie, and compare it to an American version of it. There's a lot of catastrophic science fiction movies that very much like Armageddon and these other planet killer sort of events that happen, right? But the movie that I'm going to talk about today is this movie called Freaky Tales. Now, to be honest, normally I don't think I'd bring this up. It's a movie that I actually didn't come up on my own. My brother recommended it to me. And it was weird because somehow this movie left a really big impression on my brother. There's a lot of things that happen and incorporated in this movie that are pretty amazing, but some of them, I'm trying to think of what captivated my brother into this movie to where he saw it on a Saturday, and I'm not exaggerating, with every single day up to the following Thursday when I finally decided to rent it. Actually, I bought it. He's hounding me, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? I'm like, no. It's like, it's $10 to rent. It was $15 to buy. He's like, dude, if you don't like it, I'll give you the $10. I'm like, I'm just going to buy it because, whatever. If it's this good, it's this good. Whatever, okay? So I ended up buying it. And you know what? It's a decent movie. It's a weird movie. And to me, if I'm not going to give a lot of spoilers, I don't think. Maybe not. We'll see. But it is a big... Let me just say, I'm going to try to be nice. It is highly influenced by Quentin Tarantino. The way that it's written, the way that it's pieced together, everything except the supernatural ability of there's a supernatural element to it. And one of the supernatural elements I completely do not understand, and I'll just call it the magic bus scene. I have no idea where that scene's in the movie. At the very beginning, I thought, here's a spoiler alert. I thought that the magic bus scene meant something. Well, no, I don't want to spoil it for you because at the end of the day, it's not a terrible movie. It's got a lot of funny parts in it. It's just very difficult to separate the sort of ripping off that they're doing to Quentin Tarantino and the writing to where some of the dialogue is okay. Some of the pieced together, some of the storytelling is fine, but at the end of the day, it's really, there's a big stretch to how certain things are happening. The funniest part is the one at the end, and I think that might be in and of itself the worth the price of admission, to where you can forgive a lot of the other things that are happening there. They do. I'm always one to say that as far as when you edit a movie and when you make a movie, you should allow the viewer and the audience to think about the movie and not have to tell them exactly how things happen along the way. It's for them to be able to say, see, one thing is happening because another one happened earlier in the movie. And that is definitely one of the things that happens in this movie is that, how did that guy get here? Okay, this is what must have happened. And I think that's fair. That's a very good part of the movie where I understand that there was a scene earlier in the movie, and again, I'm telling you, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's a scene in the beginning of the movie that you see that you think is going to happen. The scene cuts off. A lot of other things happen. And a scene at the end kind of references that other scene. And you go, okay, so a lot of shit must have happened that we thought would have happened. And it looks like that's exactly what happened. And it allows the audience to think, okay, yeah, we were right. That's exactly, he was going to do this. That's what happened. And we were thinking that was going to happen. And then, yes, that's what happened. I know that that's overly like a stretch of what's happening, but I don't want to give it away to you. In that sense, my point is that in that sense, the storytelling allowed us to think for ourselves, to go, oh shit, that must have happened. That fucking sucks, right? That's, and I love that part. That's my favorite part of the movie. One of my favorite parts of the movie, actually, is that one to where they allowed us to think for ourselves for a second. The supernatural part of the movie is, I think, amazing. It's thoughtful. It's got, we were talking about Bruce Lee here for a second ago. It's definitely got a lot of Bruce Lee elements in there. It's missing one cliche part for the movie, for a Bruce Lee-ism that I thought should have been in the movie, like every other movie. The part where Bruce Lee thumbs his nose a little bit, and then with his left hand, he's telling you to come on. It's just about every big sort of... immediately, what comes to mind is The Matrix and the Fight Club, where they do the Bruce Lee poses and they do the come on sort of thing. That pose should have been done. As much as cliche goes, that should have been done. That was missing. I was just waiting for it. It didn't happen. The guy was dressed like Bruce Lee for the most part, the black and yellow. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you don't, you need to look it up. Like the Game of Death, I just mentioned that, and Quentin Tarantino has a lot of that. If you look into The Bride, how she's dressed in Kill Bill, that's all Bruce Lee-isms, right? Black and yellow sort of thing, and she's got a jumpsuit made up, and her sword colors, and the whole color scheme is a Bruce Lee thing. The way that the Kill Bill, the massive amounts of one against many sort of thing, again, a Bruce Lee trope that goes into a bunch of Quentin Tarantino scenes in Kill Bill, is again a scene in Freaky Tales. I do love Too Short being into it. I do love the fact that Too Short narrates it. I wish there was more of Too Short into it, but again, I don't want to give too much of the movie. But what I wanted to talk about, though, is that, one, I do appreciate them biting off Tarantino's style. We are now... Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction came out in the mid-'90s, okay? Maybe late 90s. I wanted to say 94, but fuck it. I got a computer right here. Let's take a look. When did Pulp Fiction come out? Pulp Fiction came out in 1994, all right? So we've been... Quentin Tarantino's been active, doing his thing. Quentin Tarantino might be working on his 9th or 10th film. I don't remember what it is. The other element to Freaky Tales is the rewriting of history, which we know that he's done in Once Upon a Time in America and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he's done also in Inglourious Bastards, right, where he rewrites history, and just to kind of help his movie along. I mean, it is what it is, right? The Freaky Tales has a way of rewriting history a little bit to what happened and this, that, and the other, which is, again, a mixture of Once Upon a Time, Pulp Fiction, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sort of thing, to where I love that it's influenced. Was there enough original stuff in there for me to be completely impressed by it? No, not in the sense of story writing and in the sense of giving you a non-linear sort of view at a story, right? What it is there are different actors and different things that happen in this movie, like the hip-hop aspect of the movie. I really appreciated how they decided to incorporate a scene in there about hip-hop. and how, things were like in the 80s in Oakland, which is kind of a reflection of, I think, what they're trying to say in a certain tangent in the movie. But overall, I'm trying to see what sort of impressed my brother so much of this movie, other than we both love hip hop. Too Short was one of the things on our constant playlist growing up. We had the albums, so definitely good to see him there. I'm trying to think other than, the thing is there are very few people that might dissect a Quentin Tarantino movie other than just enjoying it as much as I do. When Pulp Fiction came out, that's my favorite movie. And I was 100% just all about that movie, to the point where I bought the screenplay. I've read it, reread it. I still can't believe how good it is. And I wish, and there's a couple omitted parts there and there that are like, man, they should put that in the movie. But either way, it didn't really matter. As far as, it's one of what I would consider an almost perfect movie, right? And unfortunately, Freaky Tales is not. And it's just something that I wish was a little better. My point is this. I'm glad that they ripped them off. I'm glad that there are kids out there that are appreciating that type of movie telling that is just a different way of telling movies. There's a bunch of movies that have come out where I'm like, man, first of all, you can throw all the Avenger movies out in the garbage. And yes, that's where I'm not talking about some sort of elitism like Scorsese is talking. Was it Scorsese or the other guy's name? Yeah, I think it was Scorsese talking about how those are terrible movies. And he's got his opinion of it, of course. But my movie is that there really is there's too much wannabe philosophy incorporated inside of those movies. That's absolute garbage. That it's unresolved. Just kick ass and do what you need to do, right? And at some point, it's kind of like it's a repetitive thing to where we go into a field. We go into this idea that that these Christ figures are going to help us out or something. I just don't like it. That's just my thing. I just don't like how these things are portrayed. I like the first couple ones, Iron Man, and then you start going into these people where everybody wants a piece of the pie, being an actor. And I've seen them all. I was in the hospital, and the hospital had all these going, and to the point where, like, I was saying, man, I'm never going to watch these unless, somebody forces me to watch them. And yeah, somebody forced me to watch them. I was in the hospital, and they have all those on file there. This is the only movies you can watch. So I watched Aquaman. I watched the Avengers, the last part of the Avengers that I hadn't seen before. And I'm like, man, this is garbage. These are shitty movies that are just hype up with super effects. And they're really, if there wasn't a budget, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't think it was funny. I couldn't connect. So I couldn't connect with those. I don't know what the difference was between the first two Iron Man movies and the last two Avenger movies that are just, I don't know, man. It's just fucking stupid. It really is. It's fucking stupid. So those movies are the ones hitting the big ones. You look at movies that are like over the top Hollywood flicks that have no budget, like let's just say Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Those are entertaining. Those are decent to watch. I like them. Those are good. But I struggle to remember a good movie that I've seen that I've been like, wow. And I'm sure I have seen one. I just can't remember anything at the moment that makes me go, that's within the last 5 years that I've watched. It's like, God damn, that's a great fucking flick. Let me remember it. Let me do this. I mean, that's not a Quentin Tarantino movie. Let me preface that. Because Quentin Tarantino movies to me are still, even if it's not his best, it's still better than most people's out there. That's just the way it goes, unfortunately. He's a great writer, and that's where it all starts. And all these other movies that are written okay, they're shot okay and things like that. And it's just like, I mean, I watched the last movie that I watched that was kind of like, hey man, that's all right, was the Tom Hardy movie with the Mad Max prequel to the Furiosa. That one was pretty good. I liked it, and it's because it had a lot of action in it. You know, that sort of thing. I think saved some of it. The storyline is still there, and I enjoyed it. That's one of the movies where I'm like, that's pretty good. Man, I'm struggling to think of first of all, an American movie. I'm trying to think about have I seen something Japanese or Korean that's good as far as that are not action movies. There was the guy that plays Two-Face on Batman. Damn it, I forget his name. He's got a series of movies where he's like a super secret agent man, and they're low budget and they're absolutely terrible. But I watch them because in some cases they're terribly good. In other cases they're just absolute garbage. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and to be honest, I don't even know if he's the same person in all of them. But I haven't dove in deep in that much into him. But there's like a series of action movies that he's made, and they're available on is it Prime or Hulu? They're on Hulu. I just got Hulu. I got a super discount on Hulu. I started watching some of these Hulu movies that are absolutely, again, they're free, they're beautiful, and they're terrible. And I just got, with another package that I have, I mean, I told my buddies, man, I'm never going to subscribe to Disney Plus, right? And I did, Disney Plus, and it's costing me $5 a month to subscribe to Disney Plus from a package deal that I have. Don't worry, it's not girl math, but maybe it is a little bit. But it is I started watching the Star Wars. So I don't, that's the other thing. I don't like the Star Wars movies. The last 3, you can throw those in the can, man. Those are garbage movies. However, the side stories that happen of those movies, I love. I love the side story movies. Rogue One. I forget the name of the other one that I just can't think about right now. And right now I'm watching Diego Luna's Andor, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I've watched the first season of The Mandalorian. Of course, my favorite part was when Luke Skywalker came out. Sorry if that's a spoiler to you, but you should have watched The Mandalorian by now if you're a Star Wars fan. And that was when my friend goes, you got to watch The Mandalorian. Let me loan you I'm not going to say he loaned me his thing because that's not right, but I was able to watch it and not being able to completely subscribe to the channel for an extended period of time. Let me just say that. And so I'm watching Andor, and Andor seems like a good movie. What I love about Andor is that it's not low budget in the sense that that no one's phoned it in. The cinematography is really good. There's these beautiful shots in there I'm like, God damn, that shot is beautiful. There's decent actors in it all over. I mean, that I think he's Swedish guy. The guy that first helps out fucking what is Diego Luna's character's name? That helps him out, the planet. That guy's one of my favorite actors. He's a fucking awesome good guy. He's an awesome bad guy. He's got the range. He's the Harkonnen in the new Dune movies, and he's legit. He's a legit actor. I like that guy. And everyone else, the supporting cast are all decent actors. No one's phoning anything in, and I love it. So for that, the story itself, good guys, bad guys. We need to get the thing before the thing gets us, and we need the rebel, and dun 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 dun, and all that stuff. It is what it is. We're not wowing anybody just yet. There's no big twists and turns at the moment. It's really straightforward. I'm waiting for Luke Skywalker to come back. But if you guys remember, I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't want to make any speculations because hopefully there is a twist and turn that I would love to see happen here. But I'm enjoying the story so far, and I'm taking my time with it. I'm actually watching it and trying to pay attention to it and this, that, and the other. And I'm only on episode 5, I think. And I'm like, hey, man, that's all right. That's all right. So, again, the idea that, you know, the young kids are learning from Quentin Tarantino and biting them off, it really is no different than Quentin Tarantino stealing from the guy who made the Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Sergio Leone, right? You learn from who you want to learn from. And if you look at a lot of these movies that Quentin Tarantino made, there's a lot of those tropes from those things that Sergio Leone came up with in a Western era. Now, if you really want to dissect the things like A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, now you're talking about Akira Kurosawa. Those are direct ripoffs from Yojimbo and Sanjiro, right? Those are direct. Man with no name comes into a town, plays people against each other. Those are direct ripoffs from Akira Kurosawa. Who Akira Kurosawa was also taken a little bit by John Ford in the Western movies. Samurai movies and cowboy movies at a certain era are kind of the same sort of thing in a lot of things. So John Ford and Akira Kurosawa have borrowed from each other a lot, and it gives way to Westerns in the United States, starting with anything Clint Eastwood was associated in that we talk about in this day and age, right? So, yes, I can appreciate movies like Freaky Tales, and there's a couple other movies that really bite hard from Quentin Tarantino that just don't work, and some of them that really do. I think Guy Ritchie was one of those that, while he didn't directly steal from him, because Freaky Tales is stolen. I hate to tell you, I'm going to say it. They fucking steal it. They steal a lot of shit in there, and if you look at it, it's hard not to see Quentin Tarantino's hand in just about everything that happened there, right? And you get a thing like Guy Ritchie, who puts a lot of attention into dialogue, and Guy Ritchie, well, I think that he may have been inspired by directors of his contemporary directors as well. I don't think he stole anything from it, and you can see a lot of these sort of universes play out in his movies, right? To where there's a theory that all of Quentin Tarantino's movies are in the same universe, right? And you can, there's a theory that goes, what happens here. There's the same kind of cigarettes. Everyone talks about certain things that happen, and there's like a little thing that connects, that's supposed to connect. There's little egg nuggets. What do you call them? Little Easter eggs that are sprinkled throughout movies. I think that allow you to connect the movies, or that let you know that they're all basically in the same universe. So, that's definitely something that we need to look into. If you're a Tarantino fan and want to connect them, and I'm sure there's some on YouTube right now. Type in Tarantino, all movies in the same universe, sort of thing. So I like it. I like the Freaky Tales for its intent and partial execution. Do I recommend it? I think that yes, it's a movie that needs to be watched. It's a movie that needs to be watched by people who like movies and that like Quentin Tarantino, and it's a movie that needs to be given a chance so that the kids, all the kids, everybody involved can be allowed to make more movies like that. I think it's valid. It's directed by someone who's already a quasi-veteran, in my opinion, in Hollywood. But she's a veteran for sure. But I think that it still needs to be watched to give people the free reign to be able to go, okay, let's make movies more like, without having to stick to the conventional bullshit that a lot of these linear things, the storytelling movies are not. Like, there's some movies. My point is, like, there's some movies that would have benefited a lot better if the story was broken up and give it to us in pieces instead of being written in a certain way. And we'll get into that later on. last thing I wanted to talk about is making content for old people on YouTube. And my algorithm has now things that are saying, you know what, old people need to be making more content. Showing a lot of people like why people over 40 should be making content and videos and this, that, and the other. And there's a bunch of people talking about that. And of course, YouTube wants to sell it. You know, YouTube wants to have more people making content, which is absolutely great. You know, sure. I go, okay, YouTube. And of course, my thing is I've been wanting to make content. I've been wanting to do things for a while. And, you know, it's part of like my idea on making content is a little different than anybody else's. So when I make content, my definition might be a little different. So I'm not looking to be an influencer. I'm not looking to sell products. I'm not looking to do anything other than showing my work and showing what I do, and more importantly, documenting. I think it's important to document our lives to where if one day, and I'll talk about this here, the Cerulean theory, or Cerulean theory, I'll look it up here in a second. I just want it to be Cerulean hypothesis is what it's called. Silurian hypothesis is what it's called. Silurian hypothesis, and I'll read that in a second and tell you what it is. What the idea is that to document things, and I don't remember, well, like things in Planets of the Apes, to where there were things that were documented of the way the Earth used to be in certain ways, right? And I've talked about this before, and I've touched upon it before, to where like I am very impressed at how movies are so accurate in depicting things from the 40s and what have you. Because one, there are actual movies that were made in the 40s and 50s that were using that style. Two, because people documented that time. People took pictures. People were able to make home movies and show how people dressed and what they drove, and to a certain extent, even how they talked. My friend's grandpa was one of these people that saw very early on the benefits of having a camera and having a little film camera and documenting his family and taking pictures of his family, to where I'm like, man, that's beautiful, because 60, 70 years later, we're watching these movies in my friend's house, just looking at them and going, wow, it really was that way, you know, and it's just beautiful to see and have it documented. And my friend was able to digitize his grandfather's catalog so that we can view it in this day and age. And so in a sense, I wish that we continue to document our lives and have this tremendous catalog of different channels, quote unquote, different people's lives, that someone centuries from now can look back and go, oh man, this is how that was. This was cool. This is, how they talked a certain way and they did certain things. And I think that's important because it gives you a voice. It gives you something to talk about. It gives you something to give to the world in a certain sense. And I'm talking about wholesome content, and again, I'm using wholesome in a loose term that is for the family. You know, I'm not talking about the other content that's up there. And the ability, you know, to be able to save these and document and to be able to show the other, I think to be able to tell people that, hey, we were here, we existed, I think is valid, and I think it's something that we need to strive for, no matter how boring and how mundane you think your life is. I mean, there's somebody out there that wants to watch. There really is. And through your experiences, maybe we can learn how to apply something that your experience to our lives and be able to connect a certain way. The Silurian hypothesis, this is something that I just came through my algorithm here within the last week or so. About 2 weeks, then I've been thinking about this a lot lately, to where let me read you what it is. The Silurian hypothesis is a scientific thought experiment that explores the possibility of advanced industrial civilizations existing on Earth before humans and where their traces could be detectable in geological record. And in short, what it means is that there have been peaks of carbon monoxide poisoning in the atmosphere throughout history. And this is something that some scientists hypothesize to, where we're not the only industrialized civilization that has existed. And the issue is that the Earth is like 4 billion years old. It's not so crazy to think that there have been other industrialized civilizations that weren't human that were able to rise and fall, and that their history is buried because the Earth isn't in the same shape it was as it once was, because of plate tectonics and things like that. Let me read a little more of what the AI overview of Google says. This is: the hypothesis was developed by scientists Anna Frank and Gavin Schmidt in 2018. The name Silurian is inspired by Silurians, a race of pre-human reptilian humanoids in the British TV series Doctor Who. Now, here's what I envisioned when I heard about the Silurian hypothesis is Thundercats. Imagine a civilization that is so old where these cats are humanoids. And if you guys remember, the Thundercats have had advanced technologies. They flew through space. Their fortress was an advanced technological feat. Everything they spoke they spoke English, but they had a language. They walked upright, but had the sort of prowess of cats that made them perfect assassins. And so this is what I envisioned like years and years ago, where at some point these animals came up and were able to create technology, and be able to walk the earth with these tremendously advanced, tremendous technological advances. Here's the question. The core question is Silurian hypothesis poses is whether evidence of prior industrial civilization could be found on Earth's geological layers, or if geological processors would have erased such evidence over millions of years, like plate tectonics, like the Mount Everest is created because two plates are crashing together and they're raising those peaks, right? And that's one way to make mountains. I always, when I was on a drive through Wyoming, they have these different shaped mountains. And if you look at Devil's Tower in Wyoming, of course, Steven Spielberg made the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they go to that tower, and it's a calling card for aliens, right? Or I envision something buried into it, as opposed to a lot of people they think that it used to be big trees because the Earth used to be covered in big trees, and which gives way to the thing that there were giants walking the Earth at one point. Let me read a little more. Focus on legacy. The hypothesis is not about finding pre-human aliens or ruins. It's about understanding how difficult it would be to trace any civilization's legacy over geological timescales, including our own, in which the Earth just eats up its own history. To where here's one of the things that trips you up. There were fossils of dinosaurs while dinosaurs were walking the Earth. That's how old the Earth is, right? And so when we talk about life on Earth, we're talking about there's been life on Earth for billions of years. Why did it take? And humans have only been around for, I don't know, maybe the way that we do things about 100,000 years ago. The idea here, implications. The Silurian hypothesis highlights the limitations of our understanding of long-term geological records, the footprints. Popular culture gained traction in popular culture with very science fiction, such as Doctor Who and other works. Well, and the way that I think about the Doctor Who, I think that they probably got those guys from you guys remember Land of the Lost? They also had reptilians in there who had magic crystals and things like that. That's more of what I envision it, because I don't watch Doctor Who. So anyway. So that whole process is like, okay, so it's sad that first of all, we can barely understand some hieroglyphics and stuff. And if it wasn't for the Rosetta Stone and being able to translate a bunch of those things for us, we would still be lost. So we are lucky to be able to translate Egyptian hieroglyphs. We're lucky to be able to translate Mayan hieroglyphs because there was this kid, just happened to be a super genius kid that all of a sudden basically would be able to find it. And there was another guy in Europe who just happened to have a copy of Mayan or Aztec, I think it's Mayan, who was fascinated by them, and he was able to break the certain codes. And we apparently know how that language is spoken now, but who knows? And this kid, again, there's a documentary about this kid who also helped break the code. So if it wasn't for these isolated incidents, who's to say that, maybe AI would be able to find the translation for some of these things? Great. But who's to say that without those kids, we'd still be in the dark about a lot of things that happened? And even to a certain extent, there's a lot of languages that we can't speak, that we don't know how they work. The Göbekli Tepe is an example of why was that civilization lost and decided to bury its thing. It's kind of crazy, right? So my point is that at some point, you need to start documenting just to share, just to put it up. And the thing is, like in YouTube, you can publish your stuff and keep it private and only share with your family. You don't, it's just an easier way to share all your videos and things like that than it is to use Google Photos or Google Drive, because that shit costs money. And YouTube doesn't. And YouTube will give you a better, depends on how you look at it. But it's easier to watch on your phone on Google than it is to, on YouTube than it is to do it on a drive. That said, I gave myself a challenge. So I started working out. And this is going to be the last part of this podcast. I think we've gone a little long on this because, again, I haven't talked to anybody in a while. But I started working out. At this point, I've technically worked out for over 2 months, 2 months and 2 weeks, something like that. The videos that I started, and I'm looking at some videos here. Some people are watching my videos, which is kind of nuts. So what I'm doing is holding myself accountable, for working out. The first video that I uploaded was on April 8th. And I actually ended up... I uploaded my workout video from the 8th of April on the 18th of April. So I'm like 2 weeks behind uploading it, and that's for good reason. That's because I decided to give myself some sort of headroom to upload my workout videos. And what I've done is basically done voiceover on my workout videos. It's almost like a separate podcast. Me working out, me doing my thing, me holding myself accountable for two things. One, working out. And I'm glad I'm at a position right now where I've stated in one of my videos, quote unquote, my workout podcast, that I'm at a point right now where I like working out. I'm still very weak, but I've gotten my heart pumped now for over a month and I feel good. I haven't strained myself. I've arranged my house to make it easier for me to remove the obstacles and excuses to work out. And what I did was, for 3 weeks, I rode my bicycle. Boom, 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 boom. I'm just riding a bike. And then I decided to get some weights to kind of incorporate my upper body while I'm riding the bike. And then it just occurred to me, like, you know what? Let me go ahead and, hold myself accountable for making content almost every day. And being able to, create content, because YouTube told me that as a over 40, I need to start creating more content and uploading and have a channel. And 2, hold myself accountable for actually working out every day and going, you know what, I need to work out because I need to make content, or I need to make content so I need to work out. One of these things to where they're both kind of hand in hand. And I found out that it's working to the point where I'm not working out because I want to make content. It's just a really good way to document and hold myself accountable through my workout and my training and my process. Overall, I have certain goals, but it's not what you think, as far as like, I'm not looking to look like Adonis or anything like that, but I am definitely trying to remind my heart that there's a body here and that's fat, that needs to get in better shape. And I'm not looking to get a six-pack or anything like that, but definitely be able to, at one point, run a certain distance. And my whole deal is to be able to join a men's baseball league. And I don't really look at the stats, and I'm looking at the stats right now. And one of my last episodes was crazy. It's got some of these videos that I post up have 1 view, some have 3, some have 0, some have 100, some have 70, which is crazy. And then there's one that I posted up a few days ago. It's got 338 views, and I'm absolutely like, what the hell is this? How, good that it went up. Somebody I think may have given it a thumbs down. I'm gonna have to see what that's all about. But I explained my reasoning for working out, and it's working to the point where I don't expect any of these videos to go viral. I don't expect my channel to go viral. I don't expect to monetize from this, but I do expect to document my workout so that later on I have an idea of where I started and where I ended up. Funny thing is that I've already seen immediate results from working out, and it's not, I'm not advocating for everyone to work out, although I'm through my teachings, and I'm not teaching anyone how to do anything. Through my documents, I am letting people know that I have immediate results from working out, and I've documented those, and that, the things that have benefited me. And of course, in other things, I start to think about what kind of thoughts that happen to where I work out, and just overall aimless thought processes, what I think about when I work out sometimes, and certain philosophies that I have about working out that have allowed me to continue to work out and not do a crazy thing. And again, the idea is just to communicate with people. And before I started looking at these statistics, I was just prepared to tell you guys that, hey man, nobody's watching. Every once in a while I get like a little bump. There's been a couple of people that have commented and been very nice about how, hey man, keep at it, do your thing, this, that, and the other. And there's been already a hater because I'm using little weights, and somebody already got on, and it was like 4 or 5 episodes in, somebody made fun of me for doing these weights. And I'm like, the very next episode I talked about it, and I'm like, it's pretty funny to where this thing happened. So it's weird that my point is that, and again, I was going to say on a small scale, but looks like one of these videos I think it's my highest or my second highest viewed full video, which is kind of funny. My point is that as boring as my channel is, as far as one of my playlists on my channel, which is just working out, people still want to connect. People still look at you and still have something to view, have something to watch, have something to listen to, and be able to connect on some level that it's not world changing. We're not talking about, even, I dare say, not making the world a better place as far as creating peace or anything like that, but it's just something that makes us connect. There are people that have watched my shit here that I have no idea who they are. I will probably never meet, but we have some sort of connection in just my documenting me working out. And hopefully at some point I get somebody off their ass and start working out too, because all you see in my workout videos is a fat guy lifting little weights, doing some shit about going on about his day and rambling about some bullshit. But I hope that people can see that, working out is a good thing. And that's my whole thing, is like, I don't know how long it lasts. And then that's the thing too. I got to be in this on the long haul. And at one point, it's going to look funny, like this fucking podcast, to where, hey man, this guy hasn't fucking put up an episode in 7 months. I wonder if he's still podcasting. Well, I don't want it to go 7 months without me working out and go, hey, I'm still working out, this, that, and the other. It's kind of, I don't want it to go that route as well. And there's a difference between podcasting and having something to say, and in my case, having something not to say, as opposed to being able to promote something every single day of what I do. And that is positive, that is wholesome, that is not quote unquote subscriber based. If you know, you know. And again, it's hard. I mean, picture me, I'm a fat guy doing this thing. Now, how much easier would it be to monetize it if I had if I was sexy, if I was gorgeous in one way, shape, or form? You guys know that a lot of people, those videos are easy to sell. And those people are easy to, they are, imagine, you can put a workout video, type in workout video bikini, and you'll see it. There's a lot of videos in there that are ready, like, hey, do this, do that. Don't you dare try to type in yoga workout, because you'll get all kinds of information on there, right? It's a big can of worms. It's there. So that's, unfortunately, I don't have the body for that. I don't have the face for that. I don't have the equipment for that. And to be honest, I don't have the knowledge for that as well. I make a point that I'm not a guru, an exercise guru. I'm just showing you what I do to get my heart pumping again before I start getting crazy on it. If I decide to go crazy on it. So that's definitely something that I have to be careful about, to where, I'm not a licensed anything. So. But yeah, that's about it, man. That's all I needed to get off my chest this time around. Hope you guys are doing well. That's it for now. Thanks for listening to me jibber jabber. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you soon.